If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I did enjoy the new Little Mermaid movie, but I do find it to be completely unnecessary. Disney has had this recent obsession with remaking their old IPs into new live-action retellings, and it's been getting a little out of hand, especially with the recent announcement of the live-action Moana in the works, despite that movie not even being that old. So it was going to be a matter of time before Disney got around to remaking The Little Mermaid. I have actually never seen the original Little Mermaid just up until a few days ago, and I really did enjoy it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, but after watching it, the doubt in my head about the live action version began to increase dramatically because I do feel like the story just works better as an animated movie, and I was ultimately right. Before I get into the plot or the music or anything else, I do want to start with the big controversy of this movie, if that's what you want to call it, and that's the casting of Halle Bailey as Ariel. I think she did a great job in her role for the most part. First and foremost, she can sing, and she can sing damn well. And honestly, her singing in this movie might be better than the singing in the original movie. And I know that's gonna be a hot take, but she really is that good. And to me, finding someone who fits the part rather than looks the part is way more important. Singing is a huge part of Ariel's character, and I think it was the right call to cast her in that role. Now, as far as her acting goes, it wasn't anything too special. Like, she's fine, very passable, but I do find like they could have nudged her towards like a little better performance in that regard. And it's kind of weird seeing that in the same movie, because on one hand, when she sings, she steals the show, hands down. But when she's actually like acting, it's not as good. But honestly, I don't think a lot of it is her fault. A lot of this movie has her just nodding because, like, if you remember the plot, she gives up her voice to be human for a little bit. So like half the movie, she just doesn't talk and she just kind of nods and like runs around a lot. And the other half of this movie is just like underwater environments where she's just surrounded with nothing but just like green screen or blue screen or like whatever they use. So there's just not a lot to work with in this character for live action. Speaking of the CG, we do get a lot of it in this movie, like a lot of it. And sometimes it looks pretty good, but then there's a lot of other times where it just looks pretty rough, like really rough. And it happens a lot more times than not, and it's pretty noticeable. But then there's like a scene with Sebastian that looks like he was rendered in like Unreal Engine 6, and it just baffles me about the inconsistency of quality between shots. As far as the plot goes, nothing really major changes. This is almost like a beat for beat retelling with some minor changes here and there, though a lot of the changes are really bizarre and really unnecessary and basically add a whole new layer of complexity that the story really doesn't need. Like, some of the changes include giving Eric a backstory, kind of. And honestly, this is more of a welcome change considering how kind of one-dimensional he was in the original. The backstory they gave him in this new one, though, really doesn't amount to anything. Nothing about it changed him as a character. They also introduced new characters, and they really don't do anything to further the plot as well. Like, they kind of give you an explanation as to why this movie is called The Little Mermaid, and it's kind of stupid if I'm being honest. And of course, they made changes for the sake of the movie being more realistic. And despite the fact that this movie is also about a magical mermaid, like, do you remember in the original whenever Ariel needs to swim out to sea in order to catch Eric's boat, so she ties a rope to Flounder, who pulls her all the way out to the boat? Well, that scene doesn't happen in this live action retelling because a small fish like that will be unable to do that. So instead of having that scene on a boat, they actually have it at the castle instead. Again, changing scenes to benefit the realism aspect of these remakes. Before I continue, there is something really dumb that I just remembered. So if you've seen the original, whenever Ariel gets like legs and swims up to the surface, it's pretty clear that she just doesn't have pants on and is just hanging gardens down there. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, she's a mermaid and never had to wear like any types of pants or anything. But in this new one, that same thing does happen, but she also loses her seashell bra for some reason. Like, she's just straight up in her birthday suit in this one, and obviously, like, they don't show anything. But it's obvious that the seashells are gone, but it did bring up the question, like, were those seashells part of her body? Like, as a mermaid? Because I just kind of thought she just like found them or bought them or like and just wore them like clothing, but I guess not. Like, this is by far the strangest small change, at least it was to me. Anyway, the casting is okay if I'm being honest. I was kind of hyped for Melissa McCarthy to be Ursula, and her performance was like fine, though I really could tell that she was actually not singing. It's just that I was just a little underwhelmed by it. Sebastian was good. I do like the original better, though. The weirdest casting choice was Awkwafina, who voices Scuttle, and her voice does fit the character, but man, is she really leaning into more of what makes her voice sound unique. Like, to put it in the nicest way possible, if her normal voice sounds like she's been smoking for 20 years, she sounds like she's been smoking for 40 in this one. Now, let's move on to the music. So, as expected, all of the original songs are in this one, and I don't think any of them were done badly. Like, all of them were performed fairly well, but I do not think any of them are better than how they were in the original, except like for the ones sung by Halle Bailey. But I really don't want to talk about the old ones. I want to talk about the new ones. I think there were like 3 or 4 new ones, so this movie has like double the songs. And those new ones are fine. Eric has his own song, which is fine. It's not the worst one. I will get into that one a little bit, but it was fine. As far as new songs go, his was pretty mid. I think there's like 1 or 2 new Ariel songs, and they're fine as well. Though the weirdest parts about them is that they come after she loses her voice, but we spin the camera around her and have close-ups of her, only to see that she's not actually singing. She just has her mouth closed. And I know that other movies have done similar like music segments like that, but it was just kind of weird to see it after we've gotten like 4 songs before this one where we always see the actor or actress singing. The worst song is the Scuttle song, and yes, you heard me right, Scuttle gets her own song, and it's not that it's bad, it's fine. It's just that it just really does not fit into this movie. The song is a rap song, and when I heard it, I immediately knew that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote this song because it has like a rap style he likes doing in every song he's ever written. If there's one song that I wish wasn't in this movie, it's the Scuttle rap song. The thing that I also did notice about these new songs they've added is that the set pieces surrounding them are very underwhelming and extremely boring. Like, to give you an example, let's take the Under the Sea song. It's a great song with really invented flair in that scene to go along with their performance. Super vibrant and a lot of moving parts. Well, that scene is fun and charming as it was in the original in this new movie. But if we look at any of the new songs, everything that's happening while they're performing is the most basic, bare bones scene you could possibly film for a music video. Eric is singing a song, and we see him just walking around by the water looking off into the distance. Ariel is singing one of her new songs, and she's just riding on a cart looking off into the distance. Scuttle is, unfortunately, singing her new song, and she's just shaking her little bird ass on the bed, and they're just really uninventive with the new songs, and that's a shame. And it's scenes like that that really put into perspective how much better the original Little Mermaid is than this empty shell of a live-action remake. Overall, if you've seen the original, you really don't need to see this new one. I liked it, but it's just because I like the original, and it does try to follow the original a lot, down to the point where it just starts looking like a shot-for-shot remake. If you want a reason to go watch it because of Halle Bailey's singing. That's probably the only reason to go actually watch this movie.